Hi everyone, in this video I will show you an example of a road intersection, how to create the road intersection on Civil 3D. I will do this road intersection in two different methods. The first one will be the manual method. I can assure you it's not longer. It won't be longer than the automated kind of method, because as you will see when we do the automated method, we will go just halfway through that, because otherwise there's lots of amendments has to be done for the cross sections created by Civil 3D. Anyway, I'll start with the manual method, which is quick and easy and precise, that will work for any intersection design. I'll start with, first of all, this is the two corridors I've got the intersecting here. As you can see, I've got two alignments intersecting at that point there, and I've got the corridors for the two alignments, that obviously including the profiles and the cross section for each road. So it seems that we have the same cross section for both roads. We will examine that in a minute. So let's examine the components that we have for this intersection to make sure that we go ahead with our design without any issues. Number one, it's important to notice that the profile is created in a way for urban design. We try to trace the existing ground as close as possible. As you can see, the proposed profile is very close to the existing ground profile. We generally speaking, we try to keep the road slightly below the surrounding grounds, so for drainage purposes. Having said that, the different roads will have slightly different arrangement. We may have some areas where the road is slightly above the existing ground, and that's fine if the topography doesn't allow us to have this arrangement here. So it's a key component to make sure that your proposed profile close to the existing ground, either above or below. Below is preferred for drainage purposes, but as close as possible. If you have it far away, that means you are creating large daylight or cut and fill areas outside the road to meet the existing ground. Keep that in mind when you start having large daylight, or what we call them the areas of cut and fill, and you will need to create the pow-tie clearing for that areas. That's because you have a large amount of cut and fill. Your profile is far away from the existing ground. Try to make sure it's as close as possible. This is one recommendation. Number two, I'll examine my cross section just to make sure I'll be able to go ahead with my design without any issues. To start with, I'll start looking into the width of the lanes, just to make sure that I understand how much the width. Always keep the snap turned off, but we'll turn it on for now. So I'll measure the distance from this section, from the center of the road to the end of the lane before the curb starts. I'll measure, as you can see, I'm taking the horizontal or vertical linear, so I'll measure the horizontal. It's 3.6 meters. That's good to know. Or in other words, I can just select that lane and I'll get all the information. 3.6 meters wide and has a cross wall of -3%. This is the information that we need. I've got a daylight of cut and fill of 10:1 on the surrounding. We've got a side footpath on both sides. We've got a area for vegetation, to grow trees, to place signs, all of that, which is a urban verge, if you'd like to call it, after the curb. And it's called on Civil 3D as a polyvard. So this is the inside polyvard and that's the outside polyvard, regardless. So we've got the cross section here. We've got the two corridors, they're all created. And if you have any issues with those, you can have a look at the other videos, how to create the corridors, the profiles, or the cross section. To start with, we have, as you've seen, I slid that corridor pack. It was like this. So to create the intersection in this area here, we have to make the space for it. So I'll slide this corridor back, simply just changing the area where the corridor is starting and finishing just by sliding it to the back. And to create an area here for the corridor, I have to create a different region around this area. Has a slightly different cross section. What's in the way? As you can see, if I'm driving this way here and I'm trying to turn left to that road, so if I'm coming northwest to southeast and trying to turn northeast to that side there, I will have on my way the curb footpath and the daylight, which I shouldn't have them. I should just turn straight away into the other lane. So we have to clear this side of the road first. To do that, I have to create a small region in this corridor. So if I select that corridor, I have to split it first to create a different region. I'll split the corridor, asking me please keep an eye on the comments that you get here from the software. Select the region. This is the region I want to split. Where do you want to split it? I'll split it just before the intersection around here. Okay, created that split there, and that will split it into two different regions. And then I'll create another split on the other side of the corridor within this region, asking me which region. This region here, and whereabout I'll just split it somewhere here. That'll be sufficient. Okay, so we created that small separate region. All what we have to do now, change the cross section in that region to eliminate that curb, footpath and the daylight on that side there. So if I look at it on the alignment here, if I look at the changes or the stations of the alignment, it's 360 around this area here, 380, that means it's traveling this way. If the alignment or 280 to I've got 320, so the alignment is traveling this way. That means if I am traveling this way, I should have an area with no curb and gutter and sidewalk on the left hand side. If I'm traveling that way, I want to turn left, I shouldn't have those on my way. So I have to create that cross section. So this is our cross section. I'll just copy that. I'll copy it a few times because I'll need it. I'll copy it just 2 times now because I need it. This is the main one. As we agreed, this one here shouldn't have all of those on the left hand side. I'll delete them. Simple as that. Don't forget to give them names. Very important to name everything accurately so you can know exactly which component you're dealing with. So for this one here, I'll call it a road junction, and obviously we are turning to the left, so left hand side. Okay, I'll come back to this one and do some modification to it when I need it, and I'll give it a different name. Okay, so this is the original cross section and these are the 2 modified ones. So I'll go back to our region that we created here. I'll change that by modifying the region, or you can just select that and right click on it. That should give you modify region, or yep, there we go, modify region and region properties. Just looking into it, there we go, region properties. So ask me which region. Obviously this is the region, or as I said, you can just select that and go to modify region, region properties, wherever is easier for you. So all what we're changing, all the properties will stay the same. The only one thing we're changing is the assembly there, the cross section. And as we agreed, we're going to the road junction left hand side. Okay, and that will change our region there. That's step number 1. We made the space for our intersection. Step number 2, I have to start creating the outlines for my intersection. So I have to create this outline. Where is the outer geometry of our intersection? Simply I'll offset this center alignment as wide as the lanes, 3.6 to each side. I'll offset this alignment here, the same thing, 3.6 each side, and then I'll connect them with a curve arrangement on the side here, what we call them the curve returns. So to do that, I'll select the alignment and offset alignment, asking me what alignment you want to offset. We're offsetting alignment 2. This is alignment 2, that's alignment 1. And what is the distance? 3.6 each side. I want it to be offsetted. And what style? I want it to look like an offset alignment, plain, without any labels. And that's for the height, very important. Don't forget to go to the profile, and we need it to be created at -3%, because the edge of the road, as we agreed, at -3% from the crown point, from the center of the road. That's the properties of the cross section that we looked at earlier. Okay, and that's created the outer lines. I'll do the same thing for this alignment here. I can't select the alignment. I can either go select it from the corridor, from the prospector, or I can just right click here and display order. I'll send the corridor to the back. That will make the alignment when I click on it, the first thing. Offset alignment, again, I've got all the properties into it, and that will be correctly named. I don't have to change that. That will be given a good name, which is alignment 1 left, alignment 1 right, all of those details. So the main thing, I don't need any labels, and just check your cross-section profile properties, which is will make it -3% from that line, the height of these two lines we're created these two. Now what we need to create that the curve line between them, and that curve line should have, it will be an alignment, as connecting two alignments, has a profile into it. And to do that, what we need to do, just by selecting one of those, we can go to offset alignment, not offset alignment, connected alignments, and it's asking me here, select the first alignment. I tend to keep things clockwise, so if this is turning clockwise, it's just easier. You'll see in a minute why is it easier. So you can always remember the direction. So if I need to connect these two, I'll connect them clockwise. This is the rotation of clockwise, okay? So I'll choose this one first and this one second, and it's asking me where do you want that connection between them, on this side or that side. I want that's the connection. Is that the shape? That's roughly what is it, and then we go to the details of that. Just in case you need to check which one you selected first, which second, just go back to here. So connection 1, it will be here, and you can go click on connection 2, and that will be this one here. Okay, so, and what is the radius? Usually we use 9 meters radius for these curve returns. This is what we created. It's called curve return. Okay, and how much do you want it to overlap over this side and that side? 10 meters is sufficient. What kind or what style alignment we are creating? Again, it's an offset alignment, plain alignment. We don't need any labels on it. And for the profile, we'll keep it the same. It's important, I'll highlight an important part here, the naming. So let's call this one, and this name code will make it easier for all of you. That's roughly the same what the software uses in the automated process. So for this intersection here, I'll call it intersection 1. So IS1, I refer to it, intersection 1, and then I'll say it's the corner of northwest. If you look at it here, so this is the northwest corner of that intersection. So northwest. If I give it that name, at least I know exactly. If I have 20 intersections in my project, at least I'll be able to locate which intersection and what corner of that intersection that I'm dealing with. Okay, so that's all the information we need for now. I'll create OK, and that created an alignment and a profile for that area there, which is a profile connecting the two profiles for these two lines. These two profiles came from the main alignment profile, and it's an alignment that we can create a corridor around it. I'll do the same thing around the second side here, and I'll do it quickly. So connected alignment, I'll choose, it's asking me select the second one. So it looks like selected the first one. That's not what I wanted. So just if I go OK, it doesn't matter, and I'll place it here. As I said, it's selected. This is the first one, this is the second one. That's not what we wanted, but that's fine. We can always change it by going back to here, clicking. This is, I want it to be clockwise. This is the first one, so this is clockwise. This is the first one, and this is the second one. If you do them all the same rotation direction, that will make it easier for you for choosing the cross section for that. I'll explain that in a minute. Okay, so again, just the naming, intersection 1, and that will be the corner of east south, and everything should be the same. I don't have any changes for the profile, no labels, and OK, that's done. So this is the part where that's not being created for some reason. I'll just undo in case anything happens. So I'll do it again. So if I select, this is the first alignment, connected alignment, and this is the second alignment. What was it asking me? The location can't be one alignment. Okay, so this just click here, make sure that we selected the right components. So this is the first alignment here, and this is the second alignment clockwise. Okay, now I'll go back, check all of those and give it the right name. So intersection 1, and that's southeast or east south, and I've got all the details correctly here, shouldn't be a problem. And okay, here we go. Okay, so we created the outer geometry. This is the part where the software can create for you in an automated way. Having said that, even if you do that on the software, you have to enter most of this information I was entering. How much the offsets, how much the radius is, all of this, you have to go through it. So it doesn't really save too much time doing it either way. This at least will give you full control of the intersection that you're creating. Okay, so we created the outer geometry of our intersection. Now think about it, because we created all our alignments here, especially on the curb returns. These lines, we call them the curb return. Especially that we have those on the clockwise direction. So I know for a fact the direction here is that way, and around here is that way. So imagine yourself walking on the side of this curb here on the road. What you should see the lane or the bitumen to the left hand side, and you should, if you are walking here, and you should see the curb, sidewalk and daylight to the right hand side. So the lane to the left hand side and everything else to the right hand side, and that's the cross section we need for that area there. So let's create that cross section as we agreed. The lane to the left hand side, so I should have a lane on the left hand side. I should have this. I shouldn't have a lane on the right hand side. I'll delete that. And I shouldn't have those on the right hand side, only one lane on the right hand side. So this red line represents you walking on the edge of that road. You should see on that road the curb, sidewalk and daylight on your right, and you should see not on that road, on that curb return, and you should see the lane on your left if you are walking again around along this line here. If you're walking that, because that's what we created, clockwise movement. So this is usually, we call it curb return, so I'll give it a name. So it's curb return dash. So I've got the curb on the right hand side, so I'll call it right hand side. Okay, curb return right hand side, because the curb on the right hand side. That's my name convention. As long as you choose any name convention that you will memorize, you should be fine. So based on that, all I have to do now, creating a corridor. I've got alignment profile for each one of these lines. I have to create, and I have a cross section. I have to combine them together to create a corridor, and then we do some minor modification to that corridor. So I can create a separate corridor for those, but what we usually tend to do, we add them to the existing corridor. So if this is our existing corridor, I would say add baseline. It'll ask me what baseline, alignment 1, no, that's not what I wanted. This is the baseline that we want. The intersection 1, northwest curb return. Okay, choose OK, and that will search for the profile to that, which is already, as we said, automatically created from the connecting these two profiles together. And I'll say OK. And I'll add the second baseline, which is this one here. And I'll say OK, and that will search for the profile, and I will accept that. Perfect. So we've got now into our corridor, we've got all of those information about alignments, profiles, everything, all what we need to add the cross section to those. And usually we do that from adding, we go to the corridor properties, under parameters. These are the two baselines that I have added. These are the changed ones that we've done. That's fine. I'm not concerned about those. All of this will be fixed in a minute. So I start with the first one, I finish it completely, then I move to the second one. So I'm starting with this one here, as we agreed. I need to add an assembly or cross section. Add a region, right click on it, add a region, and it'll ask me what cross section do you want to add. As we agreed, curve return, right hand side. That's the only one we have. And as you can see now, I can have the information there. I had the plus, I can open it, and I have the information. I can change the frequency, which is highly recommended around the cross section, intersection area, sorry, just to make it at 1 meter, just to make sure you have high accuracy there. And most importantly, the targets. So let's talk about targets in a minute. Targets, you've got two components on the outside of your cross section. I'll close this, I'll go cancel for now, I'll come back to this information again. But let's talk about this. So I've got this intersection I'm using, or sorry, this cross section I'm using. I need to target only the outer side. So I've got this side has to be targeting something, and that side has to be targeting something. So obviously all the time we've got the daylight targeting the existing surface. That's what we're cutting and filling to. And only the lane on this side here, I want it to be targeting two known heights, in heights and widths that I know. So if we think about it this way, this is where I'm creating this alignment here, or this cross section. The lane will be on the left hand side. I want that lane to always target either this line here, or actually not this line here. I want the lane to go all the way to the center of the road here. So I'll draw some lines. So if I'm drawing that intersection there, I want that intersection, when I'm getting to this point here, I want the lane to go all the way until it stops there. And when we get to this area here, because I already have a lane here, I don't want this line to go all the way there. I want it to stop here. So these are the two lines I should be targeting, alignment 2 and alignment 1 left. Anyway, you don't have to memorize them. You see how we find them easily. So how to do that. And on the outside, obviously, I've got the daylight targeting the existing surface. So the same thing will apply here. If I have a polyline here on the inside where the lane is, I want it to target this line here, because I already have a lane here. I don't want it to be extended all the way. Stop here. And when we get to that point there, I want it to target this line here to create that cross section for that road here, because I don't have this. I already slid that corridor to the back. Okay, so to do that, again, I'll go to our corridor. I'll select our corridor, go to the corridor properties. And this is the area I just did not save adding region, so I'll add the region. I'll add the right cross section, which is the curve return right hand side, and we agreed I will change the frequency again to 1 meter around the intersection. And the targets are the important part. As we agreed, number 1, daylight has to target the existing ground. And anything with lane, I've got the lane super elevation, that should have targets in terms of width, how wide it should go, and in terms of height, elevation, how high and low should go. It should follow the two lines that we talked about. So I'll add these targets here in terms of width first. Again, I knew when I was looking at them, it's alignment 1 left, and alignment 2. Say I forgot them or I don't know them, I click on this red icon there to choose from the drawing. So I'm doing this curve return now. It highlighted to me which one I'm doing. So if I'm doing this, I want it to target this line here, and that line there. So I'll select the first one, and that should be alignment 1, and press enter. Alignment 1 left, I will add it, don't forget to add it. And the second one will be alignment 2. Enter. Add them. So I can memorize now these two. I don't have to do it all the time from the screen. So just to make sure I choose the right one, I want to target the lane again. So I'll go to alignment 2, and I have two profiles there. I don't want the existing surface profile, I want the proposed road profile. Add alignment 1 left. I have one profile there, I'll choose that. And I'll go OK, and OK. And the same thing we'll do for this. I'll add a region for the second curve return. Add a region, the same assembly. The reason the same assembly would work because both of them, as you remember, I made them the same rotation direction. Both of them are clockwise, okay? So I will choose curve return right hand side, okay? And now I can change the frequencies to 1. And I'll go to the targets and fix them as we agreed. The outer daylight to target the existing surface, and the lanes for the same thing. I've got alignment 2, alignment 1 left, and the same thing here. Alignment 2, proposed profile. Don't forget to press add and make sure it's being added here, please, okay? And alignment 1 left. Select that and add it. See, sometimes you click on it, it doesn't add. Just make sure you see it, it's being added. And okay, I think that's it really. For the rest of this, I can, if you'd like, usually I change the frequency to make it smaller than 20 so we can have more accuracy. It's not really important for us now. That just so you don't get mixed between, that has nothing to do changing the frequency here, that has nothing to do with making a intersection. I'll just stick with what we have to do for the intersection. I'll press OK and ask me to rebuild the corridor. I'll say yes. As you can see, that didn't give me any errors, and rebuild the corridors again, just and close. So we created our cross section. If for any reason, for example, let me show you something here. If you see something like that, as you can see here, you have your road and looks very nice on the inside, but it's kind of incomplete on the outside, doesn't match what the rest of the road is. Just remember, you haven't targeted the existing ground on the outside, okay, for the daylight, and you get all these sort of errors showing you that you've got, I'll show you the errors, that you've got target problems. So to fix those, first of all, I'll clear those so you can see they won't happen anymore. To fix those, as we agreed, just edit target for that spot there and add your existing ground. Done. And that didn't give us any errors. So our cross section is complete other than this small area. As you can see, there's a small area on each side. They did not have any cross section going to that point there, so we add that manually. So I'll add a section. So if I click on this corridor, I'll say add a section. Ask me for what part of this corridor. We've got different parts. I'll say for, as you can see, this is highlighted in red. I'll say for this part here, where do you want to add it? I want to add it here. I'll just turn off the snap, not slow it down, and shift right click in this section around this area here and enter. That will fix the gap. I'll do the same thing there, add another section for this area and to be intersecting exactly in the corner here. Done. So that's how we create our intersection. All what we have to do now, just slide this corridor back in place and make it meet the other corridor so we can complete our road. And I can slide this one back here for the regions and again make it meet. Shift right click intersection of this area here. A good indication that your work is accurate when you see the daylight kind of connected seamlessly between the two existing corridor and the new corridor that you created around the intersection. We'll do the same thing here. Got an issue here, let's check. Let's rebuild our corridors to see where the issue is. There we go. Fixed it. Just the corridor needed to be rebuilt and creating a new section there. That's when I said when you don't have too much high frequency on this area here, that will create these big gaps between sections. So what you can do just to make better accuracy on your corridor, I can just change the frequency here, edit frequency for this portion, for example, to be 5 meters. Doesn't need to be that high, like 1 meters. 5 meters will do the job. So as you can see, more cross sections will be created. The same thing I'll do here, 5 meters, and another one there. Okay, that will give us slightly better accuracy on our work. The more cross sections you have, or the higher the frequency. When I'm saying the higher the frequency, that means the lesser the number. So if I have 1 meter frequency, that's very high frequency. That will make your file obviously larger in size and slower, making your computer slow down. So be careful. There's a balance between the two. That's a intersection, guys, between the two. I'll do in the second video just the automated kind of way you see, and you can make your decision which one is easier. I can assure you this method should work for almost any intersection design that you have. I'll just quickly create the two surfaces for these two roads, so we can corridor surface, so we can see them, have a look at them on the top. I'll create them, and don't forget to apply the boundaries. I'll go OK, rebuild the corridor, and I'll do the same for the second corridor. I can do it from here, corridor surface, or by right clicking on it. So what I've done the first time, right click, you can select this, right click and go to corridor surface, or from here from the top you can choose corridor surface. I'll add the corridor, and then where do you want to add that surface? At the top of that corridor, and these are the boundaries where we're applying that. Rebuild that, and OK. So I've got two of them. If you'd like, we can even combine them to a FG if you'd like to call it. So create a surface, take a few seconds, FG, and that's a design rather than background. So I design corridor 1 and 5. Do I have anything smaller? No. Okay, that will do the job. And the same thing here, 1 and 5. Anyway, that's not an important one for the rendered material. So I created that, and I created the surface, but I have to add the information to it. So I'll go to edits and paste surfaces. I'll add corridor 1, add, and then corridor 2. Paste surface for corridor 2. And that's it. We created that FG surface. So if I select FG and have a look at it, rebuild automatic, and I'll keep all my corridors on automatic rebuild just to make sure everything is updating. And if I select my surface, the FG, and have a look at it in 3D, so you can see the intersection here between the two roads. So all looking nice and smooth. We've got some minor issues though here, and they are easy fix. I'll show you quickly how to fix them. To be able to fix those, what I have to do, I have to see the triangulation of the surface. So I go to the surface property, change it from a contour view to contours and triangles. I need to see the triangles, where the missing triangles there. So I'll go apply and OK. And if I zoom in around this area here, I'll see the areas. As you can see, it's missing a line here. So for this surface here, what I can do, edit surface, add a line, and I need that line to go from this point to that point there, and that will fix the problem. I've got another one here from this point to that point. Not sure if there's anything else on this side. There's two of them, and let's check this side. We've got plenty on this side, so I'll just fix them all. Got this one here, that one, that one, the last two. Now I created these extra lines just to make more definition to our surface, and I should be done with that if I go to my surface in 3D. Now this should be fixed. As you can see here, this area here around the corridor, that has fixed all the problem. around the intersection. Okay. Alright guys, so this is it really. I'll just put the surface back to where it was, which is a contour view, 1 and 5 design, apply and OK. That's an intersection design. Hopefully that will help you, and I'll do another video in a minute about the automated way. How would I do it with Civil 3D? Thank you.